Hello everybody, my name is Aceface. As you can see here, there's a wormhole. And there's a particular reason why there's a wormhole here. So no, we're not going to be jumping into wormholes right now. Maybe you've seen before that I've been talking about hunting Triglavians or hunting Triglavian fleets, right? Well, I've been watching a guy called Hateless Gaming. He's like a very popular streamer, does a lot of cool mission stuff. And one of the things he's been doing as well is been hunting like Triglavian fleets. I saw on his stream. So it got me inspired to also want to hunt these Triglavian fleets. And as far as I'm pretty new to this whole roaming Triglavian fleet thing here, so there may be some details I get wrong. But as far as I understand, there's supposed to be these special wormholes around that go into Pochven. So in these systems with wormholes that go to Pochven, it makes it so that they have the ability of spawning these fleets of Triglavians, these like Rattlesnake Triglavian fleets, and they can be pretty deadly and pretty strong as well. And it was the case at least yesterday in the system of Liakuri. Now, right now, this is the next day then. I have been doing a bit of scanning in the system, and I only found this normal wormhole right here. I didn't find the Pochven wormhole, because the Pochven wormhole looks very special. Like, you can see all these like abyssal asteroids all over the place, and it looks very unique. You'll notice it when you see it. But this is just a standard wormhole, so it seems like this stuff, or this like mini invasion, so to say, only lasts a very short amount of time. Because yesterday, in fact, I was doing some battle against Triglavians, and I actually almost lost my Rattlesnake. In fact, it was pretty like close, and I was not even doing it by myself. I was doing it with my friend Ibad Tijori. We came close to dying, but luckily we pulled through. I'll get into that in a bit, but how it works is that we need to find these sort of wormholes, and the way to do it without scanning is just like doing the scanner and have a filter for Triglavians. This is a custom filter I made, so not everyone will have this, but you can find these like Rattlesnake Triglavians, and that's what I usually do when I go through systems. I just do the scan to see if I can find them. But yesterday at least, they did have some in the system. There was a special Pochven wormhole in here. Now I can only find this crappy wormhole, or this normal one. And I think it goes to some special place, unknown part of space. Because an X1 as well. The X1s I think lead to C3 or something. But whatever. I'm in this magnate right here, and there's a particular reason why I'm in this magnate right here. It's because the magnate is a ship that can be placed into a Rattlesnake, and I have actually been using this in the Rattlesnake that I've been going around. So I've been using it as the frigate escape bay. So it's actually very useful to just carry around a little scanning frigate if you want to like confirm that it is a Pochven wormhole, because I've been sort of roaming around in my Rattlesnake, and then I've been just having this here just to scan down stuff if I ever would need to. Something I also noticed yesterday when I was running them was that you can see here there's some safes I've marked over here. And the reason is because these guys, they like to spawn at sort of random locations from time to time. So sometimes they'll spawn out of a planet, and then you'll see maybe they're like 4,000 kilometers away from them. Or it could be near the sun as well, and they're like 4,000 kilometers away, like really far away. And there's no really way for me to get there with a normal, normal transport. So I have to use then like a combat scanner probe to get to them. So that's why I've got this frigate escape bay right here with the magnet, because it's actually got an expanded probe launcher as well. You need to use a lot of CPU mods to be able to get this expanded probe launcher, but it has got this one right here, which I could use some combat scanner probes if I did want to use this to scan down some Triglavian fleets that are sitting around. But right now I was just using it to look for the wormhole, because the wormhole is what sort of confirms that it exists. So this is the same or similar Rattlesnake that I was using before. When I was flying with iBand and we almost died, it was the same Rattlesnake fit I showed before. In fact, it was the passive one with a slight hybrid twist to it. It was using a shield booster, and it's similar to what we've got right now, or what I'm using right now, but the difference is that I've removed the prop mod and replaced it with a battery, and then I've also put this remote capacitor transmitter right here. And the reason is because there was no real need for me to use the 50mn micro or 500mn micro warp drive. It was just like nerfing my capacitor, and I never needed to move anywhere really. The only case where I needed to move was that when they were sitting out here, like you see this 3,000 kilometers away from here, like these are where all the fleets were around here. So I tried to make safes to sort of warp to them, but it didn't really work too well. You can see they're pretty far away. But the ship was getting nerfed hard with the MWD, so my capacitor just like nuked through the roof. So I was actually able to tank the enemy NPCs decently well when I was using the shield booster, but since I had so bad capacitor, I essentially had to use it like this, and just this passive recharge is not like particularly high. I mean, we've got a big buffer, but this is not really good. So they were getting through my shields, and it was very close. It was coming very close. Really, the shield booster was keeping me alive, but it was not, the capacitor wasn't there. So still the capacitor is not here. But to make things a bit better, what I did was, for the next time we do find some fleets, is that we are going to use these remote capacitor transmitters, and these are very good to have if you've got like a duo and you are starved for cap and you've got a CPU to spare, because these actually they do have a very good bonus to your capacitor right here. And it's not just that like the other person will get capacitor who's getting neutered, so that you don't have to worry too much about getting neutered. It's also that like this is efficient in that even if we both use these on each other, we will get like a net gain from the capacitor. It's funny how it works, but that's just how it works. So if you see here, it uses 292 gigajoules to use this, but we transmit 351 gigajoules. So that means that essentially we're going to get like a net profit of 60 gigajoules by using this on someone. Now, if we've got two rattlesnakes, then both of us use one of these capacitor transmitters on each other, then it will be a net gain. So essentially we're gaining capacitor from just having this right here. That's really cool, as well as like say the person who's getting neutered out really hard will still have an ability to get some kind of capacitor to them, so that they get like injected with something. And I think that's pretty cool because they'll sort of have some sort of lifeline. I was thinking also having a medium like remote shield boost, or maybe even a large one, but the CPU was a bit problematic. Like if we look here, remote shield boost or remote shield booster, we'll go here and remove this. You see the CPU requires, and this is absolutely crazy. So you'd have to like use a medium one, I think, or something like that. And I mean the amount of HP you get from this is not too crazy either, so it's not really that great. I could have used maybe like a bling one. You see here, this gives a bit more HP, but still. The large ones really has just got too much CPU requirements. Like look at that CPU right there. You could obviously probably tweak the fit a bit to get CPU, but still. But essentially what we've got now is that using this, he's using a slightly different fit for me. He's not using full field extenders here. He's using some resist mods, and to be honest, that will be probably more favorable, since the whole reason I've got this whole buffer setup is really just so I can roam around in my Rattlesnake without being too worried about ganks. Like you obviously could gank it, but it's going to be a little bit more difficult when you've got 280k EHP, right? So this has then a little bit worse, I guess, active repairs than him, because he's got some better resist mods, and he's also got some capacitor mods as well. Well, I've still got some decent capacitor with the 2 cat batteries, and you can see here when using everything like this, we got 2 minutes and 40 seconds, and actually if he uses this on each other, then it'll be even more. So it'll be like 3 minutes of straight boosting. And usually what happens is that when we were doing the site, so we were looking for these Triglavians with D-scan, and then we found them, and we were finding like an occasional wave. So occasional wave was not particularly like dangerous, so we went to it and we went to like, okay, we're gonna go and kill these guys, and we just killed that one wave or something. It was really chill. And then we were just waiting for a bit and looking for a new one, and we found a new wave as well a few like 5-10 minutes later. The thing is, the second wave was a lot harder than the first wave. So what I mean is the second time we encountered the Triglavians is that they were just like another wave, but then reinforcement waves came, and they just kept coming. Each wave that got destroyed, another wave came in, just another wave came in. I think it was like 4, 5, maybe 5, 6 waves. Leshaks came in. Like it was some big DPS on the grid going on. So we had to have some serious tank actually. And something that I think saved us a lot is that we've got like pretty high DPS. Both of us have got like this much DPS, like 1.5k more plus DPS. So we've almost 3k DPS. So we were killing them pretty fast. So that in itself actually sort of worked as a like a tank, you could say, because we were destroying the high DPS stuff like lair sharks very quickly, and stuff was falling very quickly that they barely had time to spool up and do anything. So that was really good, but still, like, we got sort of overwhelmed in the end, and we were actually probably quite close to be honest, completing it, but we had managed to destroy all the warp scrambling frigates that were there, so we were able to just warp out. But it was coming close. I was the reason that we had to warp out, because my shields were coming down to like I think 15%, something like that, are very low, and I was almost capped out because I just burned all my capacitor with the shield booster, so I was going to basically die if I had stayed there for a bit longer. He was doing all right, because there seems to be that when you're fighting these Triglavians, they focus on one guy and then occasionally they switch, so it's very nice in terms of the buffer fit, because some of them focus on you and then they get through your buffer to maybe like 20%, and then they switch to the other guy. But when we had to warp out, then they had focused on me too long, and then obviously the buffer ran out. So that's where I think optimally what would be best is just to use like the turbo rattlesnake I was using before. What I call it, turbo snake, is that when they were doing like the full active tank here, it was going to get so much like good tank, and you could replace this ballistic control system for damage control, and I could obviously remove this and replace some like shield boost amps. Like, I'm not using any both of us are not using any application mods, and we're still apply really well. Rapid heavies apply decently, and the drones also apply pretty decently, though keep in mind I have pretty good skills, but we're applying pretty decently, so this could be very much like replaced for some like good tank and these kind of things, just like this fit has got right here, some really good tank going on right here, and some good capacitor too. This probably would be more optimal, but I like the idea of having some buffer because, you know, a little bit more gank safe. That's why I'm rocking the buffer fit. Otherwise, I think what would be most optimal to doing this is to do an active tank. Or to be honest, what would be by far most optimal is to do this in Marauders. But again, I just don't like the idea of roaming around in Marauders, because Marauders are really, like, people love to snipe them, and they can be ganked very easily. And it's not something that I feel comfortable going around and just taking around willy-nilly. Like, I feel like I'm going to get ganked pretty hard very quickly if I take a Marauder out roaming around to do this kind of stuff, because you do have to move around a lot when you're doing these kind of fleets. You have to move around to look for the Triglavian fleets as well, so it's not like you're going to be just in some little hole in the middle of nowhere. You are going to be moving around from system to system, so I prefer to not use a Marauder if I can help it. And also I like to put the Rattlesnake to good use, because it's a really long time since I have used a Rattlesnake in high-sec PvE for a long time. It's last time really was during one of the events, I believe, but I've almost always been using the Marauders recently for my high-sec PvE activities, just doing missions and that kind of stuff, because it's never really had the use of a Rattlesnake. They're just too slow for the missions. But I came close to dying there. Luckily it did not happen, but we got some very good ISK. And it was very nice that we got some good ISK, because it was really decent ISK, because that one fleet, like when I'm talking now about the time where we attacked we got the really big fleet, like when the really big one, we were fighting for maybe, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes, not so long actually, less than 10 minutes probably, and we got, like, both of us, we were salvaging then afterwards and looting, each of us, both of us got like 55 million ISK each. So that was still some pretty decent ISK for, if you think about it, for the amount of time we spent. Though there was obviously some risk there on the grid, but there was not any, like, I barely did any preparation. Like here we've modified our fit quite a bit to be a bit more optimal for this, and like with the remote capacitor transmitter, we were using MWDs, nerfing our capacitor so hard, and even then we could have survived if I just had a little bit more tank. It was just that my capacitor ran out, so I couldn't use my booster, and it was just very unfortunate right there. But I have now come prepared for next time. We've got a remote capacitor transmitter, more cap, with removing the MWD and a Republic Fleet large cap battery. But most of all, the most important preparation I've done, or both of us have done for next time, is that we've got a mobile depot. Now, with the mobile depot, we can refit on the go. Now, that's really good, because we can fit to have some insane tank. So, you know how our passive recharge is very low? Well, what I could do is, if stuff is going too crazy, I could go and I could fit for the shield power relays right here. This is probably not a good idea considering we've got a booster here, because this nerfs our capacitor hard, but we can actually get some really good shield or recharge rate. You can see here 402 HP per second, and that's counting our resistances together. Plus we will get more gigajoules if we turn this off then, and we'll get more gigajoules from this large remote capacitor transmitter as well. So that is really nice right here. We get some good capacitor. We'll get, I think, 16 gigajoules extra from this large remote capacitor transmitter, so that's really nice as well. And then we could also, if we wanted to, if I want to go an active style as well, is if I had taken off these, remove these shield power relays, we can get more capacitor. Then we put the capacitor flux coil on here. If we put the flux coil and we get some good capacitor, this will actually make it even better. And then what we could do is we could like remove maybe one of these cap batteries, this one right here, and we could put some shield boost amplifiers as well to get some good shield boosting. You can see here 300 HP per second. But I think the best thing will be to just go with the shield power relays. I think you get more HP per second by doing that. You get, like I was looking in Pith, I get like 1.2k HP per second with that. But the good thing about having a booster is that if you somehow get very low HP on the shields, you can always boost up, because if your shields go down to like really low levels, like below 5%, it's going to be very hard to get it back up. So I always like to have at least one shield booster with me. But again, this is not like you could say the optimal. I'm just going for trying to get a bit of a balance between efficiency and also a bit of anti-gank measures as well, since I have to roam a lot with this Rattlesnake. So that's just a bit of stuff I've been doing recently. We're going to be doing some more action soon. Me and iBad, we have a bit of like busy schedules in real life, so they don't always line up. But we're going to be probably soon doing some cool stuff. It was just, you can obviously steamroll these marauders, but I think it'll be fun to see how far just 2 rattlesnakes can do in these sites, because you do earn some good ISK. I wouldn't be surprised if a solo marauder, to be honest, can do this, but it'll be fun, I think, to see what 2 rattlesnakes can do in these Pochven wormhole systems, because there's a lot of ISK to be had, and it was definitely like it was just some tense moments we had right there in our battleships. Definitely entertaining and also profiting at the same time. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video right here. A bit of thoughts of what I've been doing recently with these whole new Pochven wormhole roaming Triglavian fleets. If you did enjoy the video, please leave a like and subscribe. I'll catch you guys later.